Ah, I was out in the world yesterday, and a 22-year-old youngish man asked me the same question that everybody likes to ask, like old men talking about the weather. He said, "Do you have kids?" Ah. And I said, "No." And he said, "Well, you have so many stories to tell. Wouldn't you like to be able to show someone what it is you've done?" And I said, "No." And he said, "Well, what if from one of these strange places you've been, you have like," and he couldn't think of the word. And I didn't tell him. But the word he was looking for, I thought in my mind, and I heard what he was saying. In my mind, I said, "Goblet." What if you have a goblet that you would like to tell them the story about it all? And I said, "Well, I can write. Anybody wants to hear it, they can read it." And he shut the fuck up. I suppose because his reading abilities and skills might not be so high, but also because, well, he doesn't want to hear it from someone else. He wants to hear it from me. And so, because I'm talking about, how I don't need children for somebody to hear my story. I suppose if you've got children, it makes you feel better about the stories you have to tell because you have like several years of them believing you before they say, "What the fuck?" Everybody wants to be believed for a while, but they're not looking into long term. And so, because of that, I decided to go into my forthcoming novel, China Winter, and share with you just a couple or a few pages of what I had to write about the times of me being able to be out in the world without having children and experiencing things and how it goes. You can decide how you perceive it. That's the beauty of art. To have an art critic is to have someone telling you what they think of it. And for that to be a job, it's just all wrong because nobody can tell somebody how to perceive art. We are individuals. We do have our own thoughts and understandings. We do have the joy of being ourselves when we perceive something. There's no reason to let somebody that isn't in it tell you how you should feel about it. It's art. So I'm going to read something from the forthcoming novel, China Winter. This is one of the 4 books that I wrote in. I got them back to front. See that? It's this, and it's this. It's on the front. It's on the back, I've got a third of the way through a story. It's the forthcoming novel. And if you allow for it, it is art. Just my perception of things. What is art? Art. Art is somebody allowing themselves to look into them. And that's a gift to you. Because if you can look into them, disagree, agree, whatever the hell, and they've allowed you to do so, then you are a part of them. That is art. That's number 2 in how I define humanity. People try to say it's language, it's civilization, it's art. I say it's justification. That's a human trait. Don't forget curiosity. It was just a place with enough room to pull over and park the little bus along the climbing mountain curve. Several of the men walked across to piss on the other side of the road, and I did the same, remembering my near disaster and the agony of the last bus ride. It may be that somebody on this bus spoke Chinese fluently enough to tell the driver, "wo shu yao niao niao, wo shu yao niao niao, wo shu niao, wo shu yao niao niao, wo shu yao niao niao." It means I need to piss. Oh, people love saying, "Oh, Mandarin, you speak Mandarin?" I say, if that's all you know, but I speak Putonghua. That's the Chinese word for Mandarin. That means that I speak the fucking language and hold the language to a truth. All languages should be held to a truth because how we speak is how we think. If we try to change the names of things in other cultures, what we do is stop ourselves from allowing their brand of speaking, their way of thinking. Speak the fucking language. Know thine enemy. Know thine friend. Okay, so I have to go back a second, otherwise you're not going to know what I was talking about. Wo shu niao, wo shu yao niao niao. I would have paid $20 to have had that guy on that last bus. Whatever the reason for stopping, the view made it a good place to take a break. All the men were lighting up cigarettes. I took that as a sign that we'd be there a minute and pulled out my smokes to spark one up. The driver saw my cigarette and got excited. A non-filtered American Spirit cigarette. I'm going to have to put this one down. I'm going to have to make this story real. At the time, I was smoking non-filtered. It's the brown pack. And I took a carton with me when I went to China that time. And I had them for a while before I had to start buying their cigarettes because I ran out of my own. I was there for a while. I held them dear. But I gave away one. I gave away many. I gave away a whole pack once on that trip around Tibet because I thought people should have good cigarettes. I've just made this a non-filtered cigarette the way I smoked them then. That's the way. This is the way. All the men were lighting up cigarettes. I took that as a sign that we'd be there a minute and pulled out my smokes to spark one up. The driver saw my cigarette and got excited. A non-filtered, natural American spirit. Who wouldn't? He started pointing at the pack, gesturing and chattering insistently, so that I gathered he really wanted to try one. I tapped one out to him, and he snatched it, smelling the length of it and studying its purity. As he rolled it over in his fingers before setting fire to it so that he could inhale its inner beauty. He exhaled slowly and shot me a big smile, nodding quickly and giving me the old thumbs up, then took the time to study the cigarette and again, quietly, I left him to it and walked over to study the countryside where it seemingly fell away below us. The air was pure, the sky was blue, and the morning light sparkled, making everything clean. This was the half of the journey getting there. The trap, the sense of freedom and beauty and wide open spaces. There's much more to it than that. That's pretty sedate, but it's really about getting to know people and knowing that people understand you in a way that can only be perceived as the way you present yourself to them. That's the only way they can understand you, is how you perceive yourself to them. Most people don't look beyond what it is they're seeing. Most people are afraid of the truth. And one time I was driving with my brother, my oldest brother, the one I love, the one that loves me. In the pitch black, we're driving. He's driving. I'm riding. We're in the car. And he says to me, he says, wow. He says, I just think that if I weren't married, I'd be a truck driver and seeing the world. You've seen so much. And I said to him, I said, yes, but there was a sacrifice, one of which I was aware of. The sacrifice was that the only way I knew to make this happen was to do it without a wife, without children, without a responsibility that held me in place. And I said to him, I sacrificed a family to see the things that I've seen. Try to make them feel better, you know. But as it turns out, I, maybe as part of a midlife crisis, steered that thing the right way. I have a family now. I have never wanted a child, but I always wanted a grandson. And I have a grandson, and I exist in a life with a grandmother that loves to dote on her grandson. I beat the system. Oh, don't forget China Winter, forthcoming book. I know you want to hear what goes on. I've only given you the nice stuff. It gets awful.